Hello and welcome to this session, which is part of the Life Clean Energy Transition 2025 Info Day. In our calls this year, we continue supporting the implementation of European Union's energy policy. And in this session, we will present the topic BETTERRENO, titled Energy Renovation Solutions, Making Buildings Renovation Faster, Deeper, Affordable, Smarter, Service and Data-Driven. I am Ana Simbawes. I work for CINEA, the European Climate Infrastructure and Environment Executive Agency, as project advisor for the LIFE Energy Program. And I have the pleasure to introduce my colleagues, Ulrike Nuchala, Senior Project Advisor and also part of the LIFE Energy team, and Pau Garcia Audi, Policy Officer at the Directorate General for Energy, European Commission, working in the Buildings Unit, which is the service in charge of the energy performance of Buildings Directive, or as we call it, the EPBD. And this topic is supporting the implementation on the ground of this piece of legislation. So before we present the topic, Pau will introduce us to some more details about it. Pau, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anna. So by way of introduction and background, we thought it would be good to understand a bit better what the EPBD is about. And for this, if you could move to the next slide, please. Just to comment, the EPBD was first adopted in 2002, and since then it has undergone various revisions. Important to consider here, there are also other pieces of legislation. I highlighted there, for example, the Renewable Energy Sources Directives, the Energy Efficiency Directive, and the EU Green Taxonomy that also have provisions on the energy performance of buildings. In particular, for example, the EU Green Taxonomy has specific ways of identifying projects that undergo renovation. Also important to consider, the EPBD is not alone. There is also regulation in the field of products, like the eco-design or energy labeling regulation and the construction product regulation. Then there is also environment, for example, in the field of waste. There's the upcoming ETS2. And then there is also, of course, a lot of legislation in the area of finance, like state aid, the recovery and resilience plans, or the cohesion policy. The important element for you to consider here is that there is a background and a legislative context of legislation that you need to consider on how it will affect the renovation of projects. Next slide, please. Now, on the EPBD itself, there are four main areas identified: renovation, decarbonization, enabling framework, and modernization and system integration. They're pretty much self-explanatory, but very broadly speaking, renovation is pretty much about focusing on the renovation, particularly on the worst performing buildings. And for that, we have the introduction of minimum energy performance standards for non-residential buildings, national trajectories for the residential building, and then also the national building renovation plans. In the area of decarbonization, we have the definition of zero-emission buildings. We have the deployment of solar technology in buildings. In the area of modernization, here it's very important to consider buildings are not a standalone building, but rather they are part of the broader energy systems, and that's something that the modernization and system integration is really looking into. And then we have the enabling framework, which is a set of policies, a set of provisions that really look at the information provided about buildings. And that looks, for example, at the energy performance certificates, renovation passports, but also how can we support the renovation projects, for example, through finance provisions. Next slide, please. And then on this slide, I tried to convey the timeline of the EPBD, and particularly those provisions that are most relevant, perhaps, to the field of renovation. The first one is, of course, the publication in May 2024 of the EPBD. Then bear in mind, in 2025, we have a ban on incentives and installation of fossil fuels. Then in May 2026, we have the transposition deadline. And from there, each bit of provisions, each bit of the EPBD has its own transposition deadlines. This timeline, I think it's very important for you to consider when you deploy your actions, so they can fit with them and make sure that they coordinate and they interact with these various provisions. And I think that's all in terms of the background for the EPBD. And now I give back the floor to my colleague Anna. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you, Pau, for this background. And we move now to introduce the content of the topic BETTERRENO. making building renovation faster, deeper, more affordable, smarter, service and data-driven. If we move to the next slide, before going into the content, let's see some general conditions for this topic. Under this type of action that we call other grants, we co-fund 95% of the eligible costs. The total budget for this topic is 6 million this year. We consider that a contribution from our side up to 2 million per proposal, per project, would allow to address the objectives. We expect transnational action and mutual learning, so implementation of activities in more than one eligible country. And for this reason, the consortium has a condition to have minimum 3 applicants from 3 different eligible countries under the LIFE program. And you have until the 23rd of September to prepare and submit your proposals via the Funding and Tenders portal. And if we move to the next slide, yes, so in terms of objectives, the purpose of this topic is to contribute to the goals of the Renovation Wave strategy and to support the implementation of current and future building policies, including the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive that Pau kindly introduced before. So the topic addresses different areas of work that are supporting the EU targets for decarbonization of buildings and of the building stock. And this year, the topic has 2 different scopes of action, and we ask you to choose your scope. So these are Scope A, fostering energy renovations and the competitiveness of the construction sector, and Scope B on building instruments, data, and services. And if we move to the next slide, we see Scope A with a focus on, previous slide, please. No, next slide, thank you. We focus on a Scope A on increasing renovation rates and delivering progress towards the decarbonized building stock as envisaged in the EPBD. And there are 2 main areas of work under this scope. You should address at least one of these. The first area focuses on removing market barriers and stimulating demand for energy renovations at scale. So here we ask proposals to develop strategies and business models that would lead to the renovation of multiple buildings and to the aggregation of demand to deliver these renovations really at scale. So not at the level of one building, but of multiple buildings, leading to increased renovation rates. And proposals should seek to facilitate more cost-effective, affordable, simple, and efficient energy renovations, and should support the rollout of solutions, models, or approaches for high-quality renovations with performance guarantees, improving market confidence and stimulating investments. Then the second area of work, it's relatively new this year and focuses on competitiveness of the construction sector. So here we seek to improve capacity and productivity of companies to deliver the ambition towards a decarbonized building stock. And we ask proposals to support the supply side of the renovation value chain, and notably SMEs, to deliver energy renovations faster with high quality and reduced costs. So if you want to tackle this area of work, you should think of supporting companies move towards more industrialized processes, more standardized and automated approaches with respect to renovation projects and renovation solutions, and to an increase of the uptake of digital solutions as well. And there are many phases that can be more industrialized and digitalized in renovation. So from design to planning or to the execution of works. So you can work across all these stages or focus on a particular stage of the process if this is more relevant or effective in your view. You should seek, in any case, to ensure better access to information and decision-making for these companies and coordination of the different actors involved in the supply chain. And to finish with 2 aspects that are applicable to both areas of work. We are not funding research or desk work, so it's important to ensure the uptake of your project activities by the market. So please, in your proposals, make sure that you involve the relevant stakeholders. So in the first area of work, it's probably relevant to work across the whole value chain, including demand, building owners, public authorities or decision makers, renovation support services or one-stop shops that may be active in the area. While in the second area of work is really a must that you meet the needs and interests of companies in the construction sector. So in this case, maybe professional associations or clusters or similar type of actors need to be involved. And your activities need to be well adapted to the market needs. So your proposal should explain well the context and the maturity of the market or the area that you will address, and how your project would add value and contribute there, and also what is the consortium partner's role in this market. And finally, the focus is on energy renovation and energy performance, but EU buildings policy goes beyond this. It's also addressing materials, so whole life cycle emissions, circularity, and also climate adaptation and resilience. So this is not only applicable to new constructions, but it can also be integrated, and it's also relevant for renovations. So do not hesitate to integrate as well these aspects in your proposals as relevant. And if we move to impacts, yeah. So in terms of impacts that you should demonstrate with your proposal, as already mentioned, we expect increased demand for energy renovation and increased renovation rates. So if you work on the first area presented for large-scale renovation interventions, you should demonstrate the implementation of demand aggregation strategies and viable business models with reduced costs and time that can be replicable at scale. If you work on the second area, you should improve the capacity of companies in the construction sector to deliver high-quality renovations with guarantees, reducing costs and time. And in terms of indicators, beyond the general life energy impact indicators, there are some that are topic specific that you should estimate and quantify in your proposal. So this that you see here and in the topic text are some, but do not hesitate to present additional ones that are tailored to your proposal and to your approach. So as indicators, what we have is that you should estimate the increased number of renovations and or renovation rates thanks to your activities. Same for those that will be deep renovations as defined in the EPBD. You should also estimate the reduction of renovation costs stemming from your project and from your interventions. You should also estimate the investments in renovations that will be triggered thanks to your project. And if you are working on specifically on the competitiveness area or challenge, then you should also indicate the number of companies that would benefit from improved capacity and from integrating in their practice the aspects that I mentioned before. And this would hopefully lead as well to more renovations with reduced cost. So all is somehow interlinked, and you need to tell this story in your proposal and convince the experts about it and about your impact. And with this, I hand over to Ulrike for Scope B.
Many thanks, Anna. I will just change the slides. So yeah, Anna presented Scope A and a bit of the impacts. We are going to get a bit deeper into that towards the end of the presentation. Now coming to Scope B. So under Scope B, and that's quite similar as last year, we address those buildings aspects that relate to data and services. However, in 2025, we focus much more on the link between better data on the one hand, but then with the buildings policy instruments and tools like energy performance certificates and renovation passports and the smart readiness indicator on the other hand. So more concretely, under Scope B, we aim to make these instruments that I just mentioned and tools more accurate and useful by better data, and we would want to have better data to contribute to valorization of energy performance, but also wider benefits on the market. So use them as a market tool. But if we go straight into the priorities under Scope B that you also see listed on the slide, firstly, in 2025, we want to support actions that develop, implement, and roll out approaches that improve the availability, quality, and consistency of data, and that specifically for energy performance certificates. And that could, for example, include new assessment methods. It could also include integrated data sources. In any case, methods that help improve the accuracy and the reliability of EPCs themselves, their indicators, but also their recommendations. Then, secondly, we will also want to support actions that improve not only the reliability, but also the usefulness of energy performance certificates and of the renovation passports, and help increase the transparency of buildings' performance and renovation needs. And with this, we would also like to enhance the market value of energy performance and comfort, and very importantly, these days, to guard against energy poverty. So really make these instruments more reliable, but also really make renovation needs more transparent, which is one of the aims of the renovation passports. And this area, so the second bullet, would also include actions that help link the rating of EPCs and the improvement of a rating for the value of a building, but it could also include methods to facilitate the comparison of energy costs, of indoor environmental quality, and other relevant parameters. So thirdly, and that's the third bullet, we would like to support specifically the rollout of renovation passports. Renovation passports had been under Scope A last year, but now they're here as one of the building instruments. And these renovation passports, Pao and Anna have mentioned it quickly, but they were established in the EPD request exactly to provide building owners planning of stage renovation with a clear strategy for the best timing, sequence, but also scope of the intervention. And so this bullet could, for example, include or aim at actions to improve the practical market implementation aspects of renovation passports, but as well measures to create demand for building renovation passports and to promote their use. Note that under this bullet, these actions need to absolutely be compatible with the framework that member states are currently setting up. So you really need to follow the evolving policy framework there. They should be considered interrelation with other policy instruments, as we mentioned, EPCs, SRI, but also digital building logbooks. And what is also important for us is that your action should take into account existing support and funding schemes and renovation support services, and that could be, for example, one-stop shops. Fourthly, we would like to promote and support the use of digital tools for the assessment of the energy performance of buildings and for inspections. And this in particular if constructions, renovations have taken place, and that includes also single renovation measures. Linked to this, we would like to support actions that help coordinate the assessments of EPCs, renovation passports, and SRI, and that would support also the testing of the combined issuing of EPCs and renovation passports, but only there where the national framework would allow for this. So finally, and that is the fifth bullet point, we would like to support actions that develop methodologies that make the collection, structure, and integration of data more robust. And the aim for that would be not only to measure and estimate, calculate, and document energy performance and energy savings, some more the traditional aspects, but also wider benefits and as comforts, because we think that this would be essential to facilitate the financing of energy renovations, but also the rollout of energy services. Please note two important things for Scope B. Technological solutions, you see this big pink footer there. Technological solutions must not be in the center of the action, absolutely not. So technologies can be included as enablers, but then I have to say they can only be supported as equipment to a super small extent and only in exceptional cases, but they should in any way never dominate the action. Secondly, what is also important, that is both valid for Scope A and B, think of your target groups. So if you develop or deploy approaches that are shaped or implemented by national regional authorities or the national regional level, you must have these actors somehow involved. And you must make sure that you have access to these actors. So now coming to the impacts for Scope B, as you can see on the slide, the actions submitted under Scope B should demonstrate in particular how they will contribute, for example, to, I would quickly read it out, an improved reliability and consistency of EPCs and an increased uptake of them in the market. And that includes also stronger consideration in the valorization of buildings and buildings portfolios. And your action should contribute to an improved quality and accuracy of buildings and energy performance related data, but at the same time also contribute to improved use of buildings performance data by financial institutions, service providers, and building owners and operators. They should contribute to more high quality and cost-effective inspections and assessment procedures carried out for EPCs, renovation passports, and SRI, and or they should contribute to a higher uptake of improved methodologies to measure and monetize primary benefits and co-benefits of energy renovation services. Just as an example, environmental benefits or health externalities. As Anna said, you don't have to address all of them, but those that are most relevant, and I'm going to explain it in a second again. So how could you measure and express these impacts? For this, we have also established some indicators, and indicators could be, for example, the number of references evidencing the use of more accurate and reliable energy performance certificates by public or market stakeholders, and that could include financial institutions, the number of more accurate and reliable EPC schemes and assessment procedures that are tested or deployed, also in coordination with SRI and renovation passports, the number of innovative assessment and inspection procedures and tools developed, tested, or deployed, or the number of references evidencing the use of improved buildings and energy performance data by public and policy relevant stakeholders. So this is it already for part B, maybe some more, or Scope B, some more general remarks on the impacts and indicators. So this is the last slide. Just a couple of tips how to establish and weigh the impacts. As you see, we have these three levels: topic specific, the activity specific, and the common life set indicators. Topic specific are the ones that are already kind of predefined under each topic that Anna mentioned, I mentioned now. Then you have activity specific. These would be indicators that you can define yourself to best express the impact of your project. And then we have the predefined life set common indicators that are the 5, like savings, rest generation, greenhouse gas reduction, that you find under each topics, but there are more that are part of the part C, but that's a different story, so concentrate on those. 2 simple pieces of advice. So probably it's safe to say that the topic-specific indicators are the most relevant. Please take them very seriously. You don't have to address them all, as we already said, but those that are relevant for your action. And by no means, that's the second piece of advice, don't think that you increase your chances by completely overshooting. So don't be totally overambitious because you think that would give extra points, but experts look first and foremost really at the credibility of the impacts and whether they're really substantiated by the activity. And this, I also have to say, most of the time is linked that to a clear concept and project idea, because if you can't explain what you want to do, then also to link it to an impact is very, very difficult. So this is certainly linked to each other. So this is already the presentation of not only the policy context, but also of the core topic. This is a recording, so we cannot take questions in the session, but you can ask your questions via the functional mailbox that you see on the left side. So if you have any questions, please address your questions to us. But then also, most of you have a national contact point, and the colleagues there are very, very happy to support you and help you. So please don't be shy and contact also your national contact point. And I would hand maybe back to Anna in case I've forgotten something or if there's something to complement.
No, thank you for listening and good luck.
Yeah, we wish you very good luck. Many thanks for listening and bye.